Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradham Hari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Yamunatira Vanacham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Biham Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Biham Hari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Nitai Gaura Hadibal 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 Nitai Gaura Hadibal Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Satta Shishmachila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Satta Shishmachila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Śrīla Prabhupada ki Ananta Kori Vaishnavarinda ki Sirup Si Sanatan Bhatta Raghunathi Jiva Gopalavatta Rasa Raghunath Sari Goswami Prabhu ki Prem Se Gosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Siya Daita Gadadhar Shivajari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopa Gopi Gopi Vinacha Mukunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhana ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Mathura Dham ki Shri Mayapur Dham ki Shri Janganapuri Dham ki Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi ki Ganga Yamuna Devi ki Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki Shri Shri Gaunitai ki Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Jai Jai Shri Shri Radhe Shyam. Reading from the Bhagavad-gītā as it is. Second chapter, text number 1. Sañjaya uvāca tam tathā kṛpayāviṣṭam aśru-pūrṇākulekṣaṇam viṣīdantam idam vākyam uvāca madhusūdanaḥ tam tathā kṛpayāviṣṭam aśru-pūrṇākulekṣaṇam viṣīdantam idam vākyam uvāca madhusūdanaḥ tam tathā kṛpayāviṣṭam aśru-pūrṇākulekṣaṇam viṣīdantam idam vākyam uvāca madhusūdanaḥ. Sañjaya uvāca tam tathā kṛpayāviṣṭam aśru-pūrṇākulekṣaṇam viṣīdantam idam vākyam uvāca madhu-sūdanaḥ. Sañjaya uvāca tam tathā kṛpayāviṣṭam aśru-pūrṇākulekṣaṇam viṣīdantam idam vākyam uvāca madhusūdanaḥ. Sañjaya uvāca tam tathā kṛpayāviṣṭam aśru-pūrṇākulekṣaṇam viṣīdantam idam vākyam uvāca madhusūdanaḥ. Ladies, Sañjaya uvāca, Sañjaya said, tam, unto Arjuna, tathā, thus, kṛpayā, by compassion, āviṣṭam, overwhelmed, aśru-pūrṇa-ākula, full of tears, īkṣaṇam, eyes, viṣīdantam, lamenting, idam, these, vākyam, words, uvāca, said, Madhusūdana, the killer of Madhu. Translation of purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrī Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada ki! Sañjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusūdana, Krishna spoke the following words. Purport. Material compassion, lamentation and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. The word Madhusūdana is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu, and now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him and the discharge of his duty. No one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man is senseless. A man fallen in the ocean of nescience cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress, the gross material body. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called a Shudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and this conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, can dissipate the lamentation of the ignorant man, and for this purpose the Bhagavad-gītā was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in self-realization by an analytical study of the material body and the spirit, soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in a fixed conception of the real self. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yanam Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha Śrī Chaitanya-manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sabarantigam Vandeham Śrī Guru Śrī Yatavadagamalan Śrī Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Śrī Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Śrī Viṣakandvidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Datta Ganjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvāsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sañjaya uvāca tam tathā kṛpayāviṣṭam aśru-pūrṇākulekṣaṇam viṣīdantam idam vākyam uvāca madhusūdanaḥ. Sañjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusūdana, Krishna, spoke the following words. So, Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the knower of everything, the controller of everything, he, of course, wanted to give this transcendental knowledge of the Bhagavad-gītā to the conditioned souls. And we should understand that everything is happening by the will of the Supreme Lord ultimately. In the spiritual world, Krishna performs his wonderful pastimes, and the eternal potency is there, Yoga Maya, helping in the various pastimes of the Lord, also known as the Lila Shakti, the potency of the pastimes of the Lord. And especially in Golok, the highest planet, there Krishna performs his most wonderful pastimes with his most dear devotees who have the most exalted form of love for him. And that Krishna, by his own potency, internal potency, he performs pastimes just like an ordinary cowherd boy. And all the associates there, they think that Krishna is just a cowherd boy. They do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And even Krishna, he forgets most of the time that he is the Supreme Lord. And he wants to forget that he is the Supreme Lord, because then he can have a wonderful, loving exchange with his devotees. And so when the devotees are not knowing that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, then the exchange is very intimate, very sweet, giving pleasure to Krishna. And of course, when Krishna is satisfied, then all the associates are also satisfied. By nature, in the spiritual world, everyone is full of bliss. Satchidananda Vigraha. At the same time, so that bliss is ever increasing, And it is ever fresh. Nava Yovana. Krishna's beautiful form is there. Kishore. Like a fresh youth. 14, 15 years old. And similarly Radharani, a little younger than Krishna, 1 year younger eternally. Kishori. And there's not any decay in the spiritual world. Everything is ever fresh and beautiful. And when they serve Krishna, it is always like a new experience, wonderful experience. So that is the transcendental realm, Golok, the highest realm. And then by Krishna's inconceivable potency, there are unlimited other planets in the spiritual world, where expanded forms of Krishna there, like Krishna Mathura, Krishna in Dwarka, and then Lakshmi and Narayan ultimately. So they are expansions of Radha Krishna. And there is a majestic aspect of the absolute truth of Vishnu and Narayan. And there the servants are there and they understand that Narayan is the Supreme Lord. We are His servants. And there's also so much love there. Pure love. But because there is the majestic aspect that Narayan is the Supreme Lord, and therefore in the exchange there's some own reverence is there first of all from the side of the servants that He's the Lord. So we cannot be too close to Him. So there's some maryada there, there's some kind of etiquette which has to be kept. That Narayan is the Supreme Lord. And the exchange is there, wonderful exchange, but it is not as intimate as in Golok. And then again by the Lord's inconceivable power and by His own sweet will, somehow this material world is manifested, which is also a wonderful manifestation. The spiritual world is most wonderful manifestation of the Supreme Lord. But the material world also is a quite complete manifestation of the Lord, but it is temporary. And it is of a different nature. In the spiritual world, everything is eternal. And everyone is fully conscious of the Supreme Lord Narayan, or has so much a love for Krishna in Braj. So Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is in the center always, in any of the Vaikuntha planets or in Golok. Whereas in the material world, the different kind of manifestation, there, the Supreme Lord is, of course, is also present there in the form of the Purusha avatars. Mahavishnu, from his body, unlimited universes have manifested. And then in each universe, and a different expansion of the Lord is there from Mahavishnu. Garbhadaksha Vishnu, in each universe there is one Garbhadaksha Vishnu. That's another dimension in the material world. But it is also quite wonderful, amazing, and perfect and complete also in its own way. But it is temporary. And then the third avatar, Purusha avatar, is Kshirodaksha Vishnu, situated in everyone's heart, trying to guide the conditioned soul towards spiritual life, especially when in a human form of life. In lower species it is not possible to approach the Supreme Lord or to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Only in the human form of life it is possible. In this planet where we are situated, or even in the higher planets, there is also they have human-like forms, but it is even more refined, or they are more intelligent, they are more beautiful, and they live longer than on this planet Earth. But even there, so it is not complete because it is in the material world. And although the Lord is there, but the conditioned soul, they are not aware of the Supreme Lord. And they are in this material world under the modes of material nature, in ignorance. The unlimitedly compassionate Lord, so is appearing in different forms in each universe. So in each universe, Krishna is coming once in a day of Lord Brahma, and Mahaprabhu after Krishna. But in other times, so the different other incarnations are coming, so many, in order to bestow mercy upon the conditioned souls who are forgetful of their transcendental spiritual nature, because they are under the modes of material nature, they are in conditioned state. So, but by good fortune, if they come in contact with a representative of the Lord, the spiritual master, or with the Lord himself, then they can understand their actual situation as servants of the Supreme Lord. And then by practicing spiritual activities, by devoting themselves to the Supreme Lord, they can advance more and more, and ultimately they can attain perfection and return to the spiritual world, the spiritual realm. So Arjuna, we should understand that he's not an ordinary person, he's an extraordinary person. He's an associate of the Lord in this world, and is assisting the Lord in his pastimes. Of course, Krishna ultimately is all-powerful and he doesn't need any help. At the same time, he performs his pastimes and he wants his associates to take part in that also. And they're taking part in the pastimes of the Lord. So here, Krishna, he wanted to give this knowledge to the conditioned souls. And so therefore, Arjuna, and that is always going on in each universe, Krishna is there speaking to Arjuna. Once in a day of Lord Brahma it is happening, repeating itself. And so, as we can see here that Arjuna, and as Sañjaya is saying, then Arjuna was full of compassion. And he had tears in his eyes. And then Madhusūdana Krishna, so he spoke, and he practically, of course, he chastised Arjuna, and then he gave him knowledge. So that is all for our benefit. So the illusion of Arjuna, that we have to understand, it is not material ultimately. It is by the will of the Lord. Because he's an associate of the Lord and is always ready to serve Krishna, thinking about Krishna. So that is spiritual life. But then, so it seems to be just like an ordinary person. And then Krishna also is speaking to him in this way, that how have these impurities come upon you? That does not befit you. You're a kshatriya, and you should know what has to be done and what should not be done. And then so Krishna is giving this knowledge of the soul. And then so we can see that, so the pastimes of the Lord, the most wonderful, and of course very intricate and not easy sometimes to understand. Therefore we need the help of the devotees of the Lord so that we can properly understand the pastimes of the Lord. So similarly it seems to be material compassion and so material lamentation. But if you see deeply, so it is not material, because Krishna is in the center. And so he had genuine feelings, and it was also genuine, his mood was genuine. How I can fight with my teachers? That is not proper. According to the scriptures, one has to be always humble and respectful, especially towards one's teachers or one's elders, the parents. One has to be respectful. Even if sometimes in the material world they may not be completely right, but one has to be humble and respectful. So the intricacies are there in the material world, and it is very, of course, ultimately different levels of consciousness are there, different levels of thinking, feeling and willing are there. But basically, as a devotee, so we have to try to keep Krishna in the center and pray to Krishna so that we may have the proper mood, the proper understanding, the proper feelings always. So the pure devotee is always properly situated. But those who are not yet pure devotees, then they are under the modes of material nature, and therefore sometimes so the emotions or the mood may not be completely spiritual or correct. And then it has to be corrected, or there has to be some adjustment. And so the spiritual master is there to help. Or we pray to Krishna, and then Krishna will also help us. So here, so Arjuna, great devotee of the Lord, but by the will of the Lord he was also overcome by these different feelings, seeming to be just like material feelings, but we should understand spiritual feelings are there. But for the purpose of instructing others, so it transpired in this way, as it is presented here. And that is explained in the scriptures also. For example, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami, the different emotions of the devotees. First of all, of course, the eternal associates or those who are highly advanced, they will know their relationship with Krishna. That is known as Thai Bhav. Bhav means the mood, Thai means it is fixed. Like Mother Yashoda knows that Krishna is my son. Sudam, Sridam, they know Krishna is my friend, the gopis. Shrimati Radharani, Lalita Vishaka, they think, they feel, they know that Krishna is my beloved. So that is the main bhav, mood, understanding, which is there. And then the different emotions are there, known as Vyabhichari Bhav, Sanchari Bhav. 33 are mentioned, like becoming, these are spiritual emotions. To be joyful, or then again to be sad, to be angry, and even the transcendental hankering, transcendental illusion, and so on, these are there. So when Krishna is in the center and the purity is there, then these emotions are completely pure, correct. But if Krishna is not in the center, then these are the material emotions which are seen in this world. Like compassion and lamentation. So, and Prabhupada is explaining here in the first line. Material compassion, lamentation and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Not knowing that I am spirit soul. And that I belong to Krishna, I have a relationship with Krishna, I have to serve Krishna. So if one is not aware of that, then the different emotions which are there, these are then material emotions. So but Arjuna, he knows ultimately that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and he knows that he is not this body, that he is he has a spiritual identity. So he was aware of his self, and he's aware of Krishna as the Supreme Lord. So from this we can understand that his feelings are spiritual. And here compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. So, and Prabhupada is elaborating on that. So Arjuna he was compassionate with a proper understanding. And first of all, the understanding that I don't want to fight against my superiors, because that is there, the moral codes are there. And so that was proper understanding. Proper feelings are there. And even so many other people were there, and usually a devotee, so he doesn't want to cause harm to anybody. So compassion is there. But sometimes there's a need, and there was a need for this great war. Because so many persons were there who were sinful, materialistic, and so they had to be actually killed ultimately. And therefore we can see in this material world, sometimes there's an earthquake and in one place where people are living, and then many of them they die. Or a tsunami, as many years ago here, maybe 15 years ago, a tsunami wave in the south of India, and many people, they died also because of the waves coming on the land and inundating the land and killing people at one go. So sometimes there's an airplane crash, 300-400 people die at one stroke. So it was their karma, they had to die at a certain point, at a certain place. And even so, Krishna actually, he's most compassionate, and the devotees of Krishna are also most compassionate. And Krishna, so he's not directly involved in this material world and what's happening with the conditioned souls. But then his expansions are there, his energies are there, and then the living entities are there, and so they are struggling in this world, but then because of the Lord's compassion and the Lord's desire, then even that will come in the heart also, that I should try when they have the human form of life. Then the feeling will come that why am I here in this world? And what is happening at the time of death? And then, so Krishna is there, or Vishnu, Paramatma is there trying to help the conditioned soul. So that is also the mercy of the Lord ultimately, that in the human being, so these questions, they will come, unless they are so much in the mode of ignorance. Just like animals. Animals, they will not have this feeling, or this quest will not be there, that why I am here, what will happen at the time of death. So it will not come in the animals. And those people who are so much in ignorance that they are almost like animals, that will not come there. But others who are in the mode of goodness, or of course pure goodness is hardly here in this material world, especially on this planet, but goodness may be there, and then some passion, some ignorance is always there, not knowing who we are. But then the consciousness to do good also for others, or that is a sign of the mode of goodness, or to live peaceful in this world and try to understand what is the purpose of life. And then, so Krishna is there, or Vishnu, Paramatma is there to help. And therefore the scriptures are there also. And the representative of the Lord, the spiritual master, who is the embodiment of the mercy of Krishna. Because Krishna, so he appeared 5,000 years ago, or different times, different incarnations, they appear, or Mahaprabhu also only 537 years ago. He appeared for the benefit of the fallen conditioned souls. But not everyone is able to be there at this time in the human form of life, and they're not able to take full advantage. Even when they were there at Krishna's time or Mahaprabhu's time, not everyone was able to take advantage of the presence of the Lord. But those who are more fortunate, more pious, they were able, and then they were greatly helped. But other times, then the representatives of the Lord are there, the spiritual masters. And they are giving the same message as Krishna, the same message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how to make advancement in spiritual life, how to become free from this material existence, and to understand the things properly as they are, as mentioned here in Bhagavad-gītā, as it is. So, here Purport is explaining also that Sañjaya is addressing Krishna as Madhusūdana, because he killed, of course, in one of his incarnations, one demon known as Madhu. So therefore is known as Madhusūdana. And so that signifies that the Krishna, just like he killed the demon Madhu, so Krishna is supposed to kill the understanding, the misunderstanding of Arjuna, or the misunderstandings of the conditioned souls. So Krishna himself, even of course within the heart, as Paramatma, or for the devotees who are trying to advance more and more, so they will understand the presence of the Paramatma, they will show respect, but then actually they will try to surrender to Krishna, and they will pray to Krishna for guidance, for help. And then Krishna is reciprocating. Ye yatamam pavadyate tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna is saying, as one is surrendering to me, I reward them accordingly. And so for the devotees of Krishna, Krishna is everything. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadan. Any difficulty, they are calling out to Krishna. Just like the bridge buses. Different demons came, and then Krishna is coming, of course, to help the devotees who are calling out, Krishna, Krishna. And also interestingly, and the acharyas have explained, like Sanat Goswami, or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, or Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that the different demons which Krishna killed, they are actually representing different anatas, unwanted things in the heart of the conditioned souls. So by hearing Krishna killed Trinavatasura, Krishna killed Putana, or like that, or Balaram also, Dhenukasura, and so on. By hearing that, then this specific misunderstanding or anatta in the heart of the conditioned soul that may be killed or that may be destroyed. So the acharyas have explained, just like here. So Sañjaya is saying, and that is the meaning of Madhusūdana, Krishna should kill this misunderstanding. And so Krishna is killing the different demons in Braj. And so Krishna should kill the different anattas which are there in our heart. So the acharyas have explained. So here, about compassion, here the main point here is about compassion. That so Prabhupada is explaining, one should know where compassion should be applied. And the example is giving appropriate that just like if a person is drowning in the ocean or sometimes a lake or in a river, a person is falling in the river, and then somebody may come there to rescue. But if he's just taking the coat of the drowning person, then what is the use? And he comes to the shore, I saved him. No, that is foolish. He's still there in the water, he's drowning, you just took his coat. Oh yes, right. So that is foolishness. So similarly, if one is in this world, so example is given, if one is trying to help, of course, to help the conditioned souls by opening hospitals, which many pious people are doing, giving them food and cloth. So that is ultimately, of course, it is fine, it is nice. But what about the spirit soul, the conditioned soul who is rotting in this material world, who is not knowing his self, about his self, his real self, a spirit soul? And mostly these people who are doing this welfare work, and they are also not completely aware of their spiritual nature. But they have compassion, which is fine, which is good, to be compassionate. And they are helping others, which is all right. But it is just external, just like a person trying to take the coat, or taking the coat of a drowning man, but not helping the person who is drowning. Similarly, giving cloth and food to a person in this world, it is fine, humanitarian point of view, but he's not helping the conditioned soul in making progress in spiritual life, which is actually the purpose of the human form of life. It is there an opportunity to make advancement in spiritual understanding, in spiritual life, to develop one's love towards the Supreme Lord. But first of all, understanding that one is not the body, one is spirit soul, and then trying to advance. So, Prabhupada is also saying, of course, in this chapter, specifically, the first point is mentioned about spiritual understanding, that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. Dehenusmen yatha dehe kaumaram javaram jara tathā dehanta praptya dhyarastatrana muyati. The soul is appearing in this particular body, then is there as a baby, little boy, and then growing up, young boy, and then going to school, and then youth is there, and then an adult, and then getting older. So the body is changing, but the person is the same. And then old age is there, and then giving up the body, and then one will have to enter another body if one is not self-realized. So the science of the soul is explained here in this chapter. So Krishna is giving this first understanding, knowledge about spiritual life, that we have to understand we are spiritual, that we are eternal, and then ultimately that we are meant to serve Krishna. But the first step in spiritual understanding is there to understand we are not this body, we are spirit soul, and we have to engage in spiritual activities. We have to try to not only understand theoretically or just have the knowledge, but we should realize that we are not this body, that we are spirit soul. We should realize what is our relationship with Krishna. So for this, we have to engage in spiritual activities under the guidance of the spiritual master, the representative of the Lord. And then slowly but surely, then we can make progress, and then also we can properly understand what is spiritual, what is material. spiritual emotions and material emotions. So the more one is Krishna conscious, the more it is clear what is spiritual and what is material. So, and therefore Prabhupada also is saying in the last lines here that this realization of one's spiritual nature and relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Authority, is possible when one works without attachment in this world and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self that is known as Sambandha Jnana. I am the eternal servant of Krishna and I have to serve Krishna. Krishna resides in the spiritual world and now in the material world, and we have to go to the spiritual world. In a few words, that is Sambandha Jnana. To the conception of the real self, and one should be fixed in that conception. Therefore it is mentioned one should chant the holy names with Sambandha Jnana. One should serve with Sambandha Jnana. And then, by engaging in spiritual activities, then it becomes more and more clear and the reality. And then further on, then one comes to the perfectional stage, and then in purified consciousness, one's love for Krishna will be manifested. And then complete realization is there. Sarup Siddhi of oneself and one's relationship with Krishna, then one can directly perceive Krishna, and that is the goal of life. Hare Krishna. Very clear. But still maybe some question? Yes?
One of the speakers this week was talking about all of the soldiers who fought on the battlefield at Kurukshetra. And he was saying that out of compassion, Krishna gave them all liberation. And he said that they went to the spiritual realm, maybe in the Brahmajyoti, or maybe in a spiritual planet like a tree or grass or something like that. So, two questions.
Yes.
First question is, would some of these Atma decide eventually, I want to get into that activity, not just observe it? Do they have the opportunity to progress?
To progress.
Yes.
To progress in the terms of
Becoming part of those activities, establishing a better relationship with Krishna.
yes. But you see, actually, those who were killed on the battlefield, so according to their consciousness at the time when they were killed, they went to a certain destination. And for example, most of them, especially on Duryodhana's side, they were actually completely materialistic. They were not going to the spiritual world and becoming three in Golok or in Vaikuntha. Not possible. No. And only few are Mayavadis, because the Mayavadis who want to merge in the Brahmajyoti, they go in the forest and they meditate. They're not fighting. Most of them, they were materialistic, and they were killed and they were elevated to the heavenly planets. That is mentioned in the scriptures also. If one is fighting in the battlefield, and then one is actually, of course, a righteous person, then he may go to the heavenly planets, like that. So, because Krishna was there, then definitely they were purified in their consciousness, to some extent, but not fully. Because they were fighting against the Pandavas. They were on the side of a Dharma. And Krishna is fighting for Dharma, and the Pandavas are fighting for Dharma. And they were not Dharma. So they were liberated from their condition, from their materialistic condition, and they were elevated, because of Krishna's mercy, to a better position. In this way they are liberated, but they didn't go to the spiritual world. Neither in Goloka, Vaikuntha, neither in the Brahmajyoti. Not possible. Not possible. They may be elevated to higher planets. That is there. That is possible. But they cannot go to the spiritual world with material consciousness. Even if Krishna is there, but they didn't realize Krishna. But Krishna is merciful. They became free from their tendencies and then they were elevated. But then from the higher planets they come back here again and then they have to engage in devotional service. And when you engage in devotional service, you can go to the spiritual world, not otherwise. And even to go to the Brahmajyoti is not easy. You have to do severe practices. And even Krishna is saying in the 12th chapter that it's not easy to merge in the Brahmajyoti. In the 12th chapter it is saying there are two kinds of transcendentalists. The impersonalists and the personalists. But for the impersonalists it is a very hard struggle. Very difficult to merge in the Brahmajyoti. And some they are successful, few, but what is the use? There is no use. And they will have to come back here eventually. And then again they have another chance to try to then come to the right understanding that we are servants of the Supreme Lord. And then one has to engage in spiritual activities and then one can go to the spiritual world. And very rarely, I mean some instances were explained like Gop Kumar in Bhagavad-gītā. He was not exactly sure of where to go. I mean he had some, because he was actually born in Braj, so he knew about Krishna, so he had some affection for Krishna. But then he heard also about Vaikuntha, so then he was interested in going in Vaikuntha. And he was able to go to Vaikuntha, but because he didn't belong there, so he wanted to embrace Narayan, Vishnu, because that is there, because by nature he is a gop, a friend of Krishna. So therefore the feeling was there, I want to embrace Vishnu. And the servants, no, hey, what are you doing? You cannot embrace Vishnu. No. And Vishnu was smiling and saying to Gop Kumar, don't worry, your desires will be fulfilled, but not here, here is not possible. And then, but he had to come back to this world and then doing more practice, and then he attained perfection and then he went to Golok. So some evolution may be there, but very rare that this kind of scenario. Usually by Krishna's arrangement we are put under the care of a person who has our mood, or who is helping us to develop our mood in regards to our relationship with Krishna. Maybe somebody in Vaikuntha who belongs to Vaikuntha, he will go to the Ramanuja Sampradaya. And so by the Lord's arrangement this will happen. Very rare that one is then put, sometimes it may be there, that one is put in one Sampradaya but then one will change, but that is also rare, but sometimes it is happening.
So yes, that makes much more sense. The second question, I have heard from somebody that once somebody does achieve the Brahmajyoti realization, being a jnani, that they have some tinge of bhakti in them. Can they change their...
Yeah, well, you see, by nature we are all servants of Krishna. Bhakti is there in the heart. But it is not developed, it is in its seed-like form. So all those in the Brahmajyoti, bhakti is there, but it is in seed-like form. It is dormant. It is dormant. But every jiva has bhakti for Vishnu or Krishna, everyone, without exception. But mostly it is dormant. And so the Mayavadis, their bhakti is there, but it is dormant. And they have a misunderstanding, misconception. So they go to the Brahmajyoti, but they are conditioned, that is Nityabada, since time immemorial. And then they come in this world, and then, by good fortune, then they will understand that, well, actually we are servants of the Lord. And then they practice, and then they may attain perfection, and then they can go. But the Mayavadis, they go to the Brahmajyoti, that is as Nityabada, and from there the Bada Jeev, the conditioned souls that are coming from there. That is Nityabada, since time immemorial conditioned. They also eternal servants of Krishna, but they were not serving Krishna. By Krishna's will, that is also explained in Jaiva Dharma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and also in his book separately, Dasha Mula Tattva. 10 essential truths So two kinds of living entities, Nitya Siddha, Nitya Baddha. Nitya Siddha, they are always serving Krishna since time immemorial, and they will never fall down. Nitya Baddha, they are also servants of Krishna, but somehow they were not serving Krishna, but their nature is there to be serving Krishna, but they are not engaged yet in the service of Krishna. And so they are falling from the spiritual sky in this world, and then that is the purpose then of this material world actually, is to liberate the Nitya Baddhas. And then when they understand their spiritual nature, when they are in the human form of life, only by the mercy of the Lord and the representative of the Lord, if they are then properly situated, then they can get liberation, and once they are liberated, they will never become conditioned again. But the Mayavadis, those by misfortune, were thinking that the absolute truth is the Brahmajyoti, and we have to merge into that. They can merge, which is rare, but they can merge, and then they are again there in Nitya Baddha, and they are there again for a long time, till they are thrown again in this material world, and they get the chance again. So bhakti is there, inherent. In every jiva, bhakti is there, but it is dormant. It is in seed-like form. Even the form already is there. The form is there. Every jiva has a spiritual form, but it is not developed. It is in seed-like form. But in contact with the pure devotees, by the mercy of the Lord, by engaging in spiritual activities, the consciousness is purified, and then one's existence will be revealed. And then when one is perfect, by always engaging in devotional activities, then one will understand one's relationship, that is known as Sarup Siddhi, and then one will be able to enter the pastimes of the Lord, Vastu Siddhi, and one will never take birth again. Okay? Hare Krishna. Okay, so we stop here. There's some Mahaprasad for everyone.